What's up, people? It's your girl Adiola. So a lot of people sometimes say that I speak too fast, and I'm really sorry, that's how I talk. But you know, this is going to be a very long episode, so I may be speaking too fast for some people. If that's you and you would like to slow me down, because you can actually slow me down, go to the settings below and click speed. The setting is somewhere down here. Okay, so click speed, select any speed that you want, and then you can reduce my speed. As you guys know, Nigerian election is coming up next month, February 16th, just 2 days after Valentine's Day, and that's what I want to talk about today. First of all, a disclaimer: everything that I will say in this episode is my personal opinion and personal assessment of the candidate. I am not telling anyone who to vote for. Please do not say it was Adela that made me vote for so and so. Do your own research about the candidates and make an independent decision on who you want to vote for. I actually didn't want to make a video so that people don't say that I made them vote for someone, but at the same time I'm being abused for not making a video. So here we go. Please don't vote based on a candidate's ethnicity, religion, or because you will get some money or bag of rice from the candidate. Because being a president is a job, and we the people are supposed to take a good look at the candidate's resume, their CV, and ask the tough question: is this person qualified to do the job? Also, please stop saying that we have to vote for the lesser of two evils as if there are only two candidates, because there are so many younger candidates running in this coming election who are also qualified to win the race. The only thing that pains me is the fact that for some reason they couldn't work together, but you know, we'll talk about that later. Second disclaimer: I am not here to campaign for any candidate. I do not have any candidate. I have someone that I wish would be president. I'll tell you that at the end, but I'm not campaigning for any candidate, and I did not collect money from any candidate. Starting with Buhari, Mr. President is running again. I don't think he should. I had great hopes when he became president in 2015, but he's been the biggest disappointment ever. He has some achievements, especially in the agricultural sector, but he also has a lot of failures. During Buhari's time, Nigeria now exports more agricultural products than we import. There's a significant increase in the exportation of sesame seeds, cashew nuts, frozen shrimps, soya beans, crude palm kernel, and so on and so forth, earning the government about 85 billion naira per quarter. Buhari's administration also launched 4 initiatives under the Special Intervention Program. Number 1 is feeding school children. They reportedly fed more than 9 million school children in more than 49,000 public primary schools in 26 states, and they buy this food from local farmers to help promote local produce. The second initiative is called the Trader Money, an interest-free loan for petty traders and artisans. They give them 10,000 naira, and if they use the money well and pay it back, they give them more money, up until 100,000 naira. Now, the third initiative is called the N Power, which empowers unemployed graduates by giving them 30,000 naira every month, and some of them, they've bought them laptop or iPad. So far, this initiative has empowered 200,000 unemployed graduates in Nigeria. The last of the 4 initiatives is the conditional cash transfer of 5,000 naira monthly to the less privileged, the most vulnerable in the society. So they pay it every 2 months, giving people 10,000 naira each time. They said that about 400,000 households have benefited from this initiative. Now, the important thing to keep in mind with these initiatives, as great as they are, is the population of Nigerians who need intervention. Of course, not all Nigerians need trader money, not all Nigerians need the 5,000 naira, but the percentage of those in need compared to those that they've reached is still very low. Also, how are people supposed to survive on 5,000 naira for a whole month? They are also working on opening 10 large-scale rice processing plants in Bayelsa, Benue, Anambra, Ogun, Bauchi, Kaduna, Niger, Kebbi, Kogi, and Zamfara states. They said that they will open 40 rice processing plants. Also, Buhari's government banned rice importation. I'm not sure if it's total banning, but they banned it, and this has really helped local farmers. They also gave out fertilizers to farmers, and they signed the Not Too Young to Run bill, although we still cannot see the reflection of that in his administration. I mean, even the Minister of Youth and Sports is 54 years old. And you know, after signing that bill, I personally thought more younger candidates would be allowed to participate in the election debate, but that's not the case. In fact, they didn't allow Showore's party to debate. Buhari also commissioned a number of airports and railways that were started during Jonathan's administration. So he didn't initiate them, but I'm happy that he completed them. He's also constructing the second Niger Bridge, and he fixed the Yenogwa Oloibiri Road in President Goodluck Jonathan's northern states, and he also started working on the Enugu-Onitsha Road, the Enugu-Okigwe Road, as well as Port Harcourt Expressway. They've started working on parts of these roads. Now, to talk about his failures, which there's a long list, he took 6 months to appoint his ministers. That's not good, and most of them are incompetent. Not one of these ministers stood out for doing an exceptional job. We still don't have stable electricity across the country. We still don't have good roads across the country. We still don't have running water across the country, and security has gotten worse. In fact, some people will argue that there's no security anymore in Nigeria. Also, Buhari made himself the Minister of Petroleum. That's just wrong. You're already president. And you know, Obasanjo did the same thing. He was president, he was petroleum minister, and also the Minister of State for Petroleum. They used to call him Trinity at the time. I don't think that Nigerian president should continue in that pattern. Also, Buhari's government rescued some Chibok girls, and majority of Dachi girls were returned by Boko Haram. Of course, they must have negotiated something for Boko Haram to bring them back, but we still have Leah in custody of Boko Haram as well. paracetamol, as well as gloves, syringes, not to talk about an oxygen tank. Now, this was a man who promised, when he was campaigning the first time, he promised to end medical tourism. Yet, he spent more than 100 days in London receiving medical treatment, and he has no initiative to provide good medical treatment facilities for his own people. Now, the day that a Nigerian president can fix all the general hospitals that we have and equip them to the point where he or she can go there for medical treatment, that is when you know that they truly want common people to have access to good medical treatment. But you know what irritates me in all of this is the fact that Buhari's government and their supporters are very quick to blame the 16 years of PDP. Meanwhile, it's been 4 years already that they've been in power. Unfortunately, when Buhari or his supporters see this video, instead of working on the issues that I've raised, as usual, they will just say that I've been paid by the opposition. When I talk about what the opposition is doing that is not right, they will say I've been paid by the ruling party. Addressing these issues doesn't mean that I'm attacking him. I'm just saying the truth. Which brings me to one more point. Several journalists and activists, as well as people who have spoken out about his conduct, were arrested. Even now, some of them are still in prison. It doesn't matter whether they are in the opposition or not. This is wrong. This should not be happening. It doesn't matter whether he's in the opposition or not. They even tried to censor social media in Nigeria. Bring Back Our Girls protesters were harassed by police. Their leader, Obiese was detained. How do you bring armor tanks to stop protesters? It doesn't make sense that you refuse to equip the soldiers, but you're using armor tanks to go after protesters. Also, how do you fire tear gas at people that are protesting on behalf of kidnapped girls? More than 100 IPOB women were also jailed for a week towards the end of last year for protesting the whereabouts of Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, Nnamdi Kanu went away on his own and resurfaced when he wanted to, but there was no need to arrest these women. Also, more than 40 Shiite protesters were killed in broad daylight during Buhari's administration. Every single thing that I mentioned, by the way, I have criticized them for in one or more episodes over the last 4 years. Of course, this administration has disappointed a lot of people, but if for any reason Buhari wins again, I hope that he will watch this video and address all these issues that I've brought up, starting with security and providing us with good hospitals. So moving on, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is also running again. I don't think he should. Personally, I think if Atiku wants to make a difference, he can start by returning all the money that he had allegedly stolen, or let me say returning all the money that he made by establishing his own company at the expense of Nigeria. Allegedly, he made himself rich at the expense of the country. He doesn't have to be president to make a difference if he really wants to make a difference. But of course, Atiku has been trying to be president since 1993. He's one of the key founders of PDP, even though at a point he went to AC, Action Congress, and then he went back to PDP, and then he went to APC before moving back to PDP. He introduced the National Poverty Eradication Program, which later failed, and he was part of the formation of Universal Basic Education Commission, and he has been a huge advocate for education in northern Nigeria. He's a businessman who claims to have up to 50,000 employees. Some people are disputing the number of his employees, but Atiku says that he has employed up to 50,000 employees. Also, not long after declaring to run for president in November of last year, Atiku approved a minimum wage of 33,000 naira for all his workers. Now, to his credit, Atiku invested in education. He has a private secondary school as well as a private university, which he calls American University of Nigeria, and that was where he gave out scholarship to at least 15 of the Chibok girls that escaped. Atiku also built a feed mill, which includes silos, that's towers or pits used to store grains or fermented produce. This is really good because it prevents food from decaying. He has all kinds of companies and he has invested president, and he's also not done well. At the same time though, we are seeing young presidents, young leaders in other countries making waves. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia is the best example I can give in Africa. I mean, in less than a year, this man has transformed Ethiopia. I've talked about this several times. Having said that, there's something about putting young, vibrant people to work in their prime years. I'm not saying they will automatically do well, but they are usually healthier, their brains are sharper, and they can run around all day and not be as tired as some older people. Which is why Austria recently elected a 31-year-old as their leader. By the way, by 2030, it has been estimated by 89.9 million Nigerians, let's just say 90 million Nigerians, will be under the age of 50. Now, I said all that just to employ Nigerians to stop looking down on young people, because in other parts of the world, they are the ones running things. I've featured a 30-year-old female minister in Botswana. In fact, in the Western world, if you are in your 30s, you are not young. You should be out of your parents' house by 18, latest by 21 when you're done with college. If not, they'll kick you out. My parents kicked me out when I was 19. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. They didn't kick me out, but you know, I moved to another country and I've been on my own since I was 19. And this has taught me a lot about being responsible and just being matured. I mean, look at the owner of Facebook. He's 34. So being young doesn't mean we don't know anything. Let's move on. Now to the younger candidates. Thank you so much to all of you for coming out, because I cannot imagine that it's easy trying to go against a lot of powerful people in Nigeria. And hopefully your coming out would encourage more younger people to come out and have a say in the affairs of their country. So I admire how Sowore has spent so many years exposing corruption in Nigeria. His media company revealed many corruption cases, something that he's been doing since he was a student in Nigeria, and for which he had been jailed several times. And since he started his campaign, this man has traveled around Nigeria, and he's able to do this because he's younger and healthy. I also admire Durotoye, who made a man get in line at the Abuja airport. I mean, he even offered to go to the beginning of the line with this man. That's awesome. Durotoye is a motivational speaker and a business consultant, and I also admire how smart Eunice is. This woman speaks Igbo, Yoruba, German, and English fluently. She also understands French. She even went to school in France, and she's learning Hausa and Spanish. That's like the UN in one person's brain. She studied in London, France, Germany, New York, and Nigeria, and she has visited more than 76 countries. Also, Obiese Wesili is a chartered accountant. She was also the former Minister of Education and Solid Minerals under President Obasanjo, and at that time, she insisted on people following due process in government dealings, to the point where they nicknamed her Mama Due Process at that time. Also, she's a co-founder of Transparency International, as well as one of the pioneer directors of the Global Anti-Corruption Body in Berlin, Germany. And she was the vice president of World Bank's Africa Division. And let's not forget that Obi led fierce men and women in protest against the Goodluck Jonathan's government until the whole world got to know about the kidnapped Chibok girls. And she has continued even in Buhari's time, to the point where she was detained. She didn't stop. Also, Kingsley Moghalu is a lawyer, a former United Nations official, a professor at Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy in Massachusetts, and a former deputy governor of Central Bank. We definitely need these people in government. We need these people. Now, I really hope that one of you wins. Honestly, that would be amazing. So call me crazy, but I don't understand why they didn't work together if really they want to take it back. Imagine if all these people pool their resources together. If they are all in one party, someone runs for president, someone runs for vice president, and the rest of them are made ministers, because you do not have to be a president to make a difference if really you want to make a difference. I think that would have really increased their chance of taking power from the ruling party as well as the main opposition party, because right now, the same people in APC are the ones in PDP. The people in PDP are the ones in APC. And I know they may not want to hear this, but as it is right now, votes will be scattered among all of you, among all your followers, because Fela's followers would vote for Fela, Sowore's followers would vote for Sowore, Obi's followers would vote for